one day again. You said that, do I know that you're convinced that in the Old Testament, during the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt to the Promised Land, when they were on the cusp of it, when Joshua sent the 12 scouts, not spies, by the way.
You don't forget things.
Rather, it was Moses. When Moses sent the 12 scouts, not spies. Spies are illegal. Scouts are tourists. He sent the 12 scouts, and they came back and told him that truly, that land is a land that flows with milk and honey, but it's a land that devours.
Nigeria.
Yes, you said you were convinced that it was Nigeria that they stumbled into, that it wasn't Kenya. That it's a land of milk and honey that devours its inhabitants. Where are we now?
You know, I have told that anecdote a few times. And each time I have had occasion to tell that anecdote, it's been a very painful one to share. But it's a cautionary tale about the country called Nigeria. When Moses sent out the 12 spies, the ones that came back and said, oh, it's a land flowing with milk and honey, but that they found the descendants of Anak. It was the descendants of Anak in the land, and that next to them they were as grasshoppers. And I said those people merely strayed into Nigeria, because when you look at our country, Nigeria, you find a place that is unparalleled and incomparable to any other country in the world, unless you consider Congo, the Republic of the old Zaire. Nigeria is blessed with human and material resources, incomparable. We have oil, we have gold, we have everything that should appertain to good life. The Nigerian has no business whatsoever with poverty. But look around us. Nigerians are living in multi-dimensional poverty. And the ruiners of the country, they are living like pashas. They are living the lives of kings and princes. But the people themselves are deliberately impoverished. So it is not out of place to compare Nigeria to that place that was described as consuming its inhabitants, because Nigeria is cannibalistic in the extreme. In recent days, you've heard the story of OKONKWO, where the soldiers were murdered by a few, and where the soldiers went back with reprisal attacks and leveled almost an entire community, killing indiscriminately. Lekki Toll Gate and the massacre that took place there in October 2020 is another good example of what we have become as a people. Earlier in the year, we were talking about Bokos in Plateau State, where people were killed on Christmas Day like flies. Nigeria is the only place where you find the government talking about repentant terrorists and absorbing them into the army. Nigeria is the only place that will be as rich as it is, and you see people desperately scooping hot food off boiling cauldrons, packing rice with sand. This is the country where the rulers were hiding palliatives meant for people during COVID. Everything about Nigeria is suggestive of the country that the spies entered, where it consumes, it devours. Those are the words. It devours. It's a land that devours its inhabitants. It is instructive that it is this same country that could not find 5 billion for the student loan scheme, that they are busy buying a 160 million naira Jeep. They are praying billions into private accounts. You have people who should be in jail, rotting in prison cells, presiding over the affairs of the country. And you think that it is not succinct that we describe such a country as a place that devours its inhabitants. The Nigerian is busy crossing the Mediterranean Sea after surviving the Sahara and the slave markets of Libya. what are they fleeing from? Because that's not migration. That's fleeing. They are fleeing what has become a functional war zone. How did we get to this point? In my youth, you could go to England without collecting visa. They will stamp your visa at the gate. It's right there at immigration control that they will give you they'll stamp your visa to enter. This is the same country today where you require millions to buy ticket and you need to queue. You see our people queuing in the rain and in the sun to get visas to go out. Cephas, West African Cephas, the Togolese currency has more weight than our naira today. How did we get here? So it is, and if you remember, this analogy that you are raising from this is an anecdote that goes back over 10 years. It wasn't this bad then, and it's going to get much worse. So it's unfortunate that we are where we are, but this is where we are. And there is nothing about where we are that is suggestive of any immediate turnaround anytime soon. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I am merely speaking to what I see. There is nothing about our country to encourage hope or offer any worthy aspiration.
Well, Bradley, as at 11, 12 years ago, you couldn't stand the man that you would call the Lion of Bodilon. I mean,
I never called him the Lion of Bodilon. I called him the Alaafin of Bodilon.
Okay.
Never the Lion of Bodilon.
Okay.
A lion has to rule, and a lion has some nobility to it. This one has no nobility to him. Please.
Okay. You're making my point exactly. Okay, you called him. Okay, I missed that. It was something of Bodilon. It was the Alaafin. That's what you called him.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't think you saw then that man was ever going to become president. And yet here we are. In fact, I think I watched one of your interviews where you said that if he became president, you were going to go on exile.
Let me explain something to you, Teju. Because this question has come so many times that I'm thankful for the opportunity to perhaps explain it so that the idiots who have continued to assume that I have broken my word would be clear. I said if he won the presidency, I'll leave Nigeria on exile. So let me clear that up. For him to have won, the people would have had to have voted for him. We didn't vote for him. He stole the presidency. Yakubu and INEC sold him the presidency. The presidency is not an expression of the people's will. It is an expression of the debauchery of INEC and the height of our judicial corruption. He did not win the presidency. If I had left, I would have been sanitizing and deodorizing a skunk. If nothing else, I rise and fall by my word. And when I said that I would live on exile if this man won, it was so that people will know that I do not believe Nigerians to be depraved enough to be possessed of the idiocy to vote somebody like him into power. And they did not. Anybody who prefers to delude themselves can continue to delude themselves, but Tinubu knows, INEC knows, the judiciary knows, and so do a lot of Nigerians, that Tinubu did not win the presidency. He stole it. So I'm not leaving because he did not win. It's that simple. That I'm still here is in rebuke of him. It actually cost me a lot more to stay here. It's not just the multiple level of danger that I face on a daily basis by remaining in Nigeria. Because if they will be planning my murder 3 years ago when they were not in power, one of his goons in Lagos State was the one sat at the head of the plot to kill me. They are the ones in power now. Ordinarily, I should run now. But I'm here. I am here because he did not win. He knows it, and every man and his dog in Lagos State knows it. He was beaten resoundingly in Lagos on the 25th of February. He couldn't even make 15% in Lagos. Segun Agbaje, the INEC commissioner in Lagos State, cannot produce the form EC8A for Lagos State up till today. I was the person who was charged by the Obi legal team to collect the election material from INEC. He could not, up until today, INEC in Lagos State cannot give us the form EC8A, which is the polling unit level result. Because they know he lost. He lost woefully. He was thoroughly rejected across the length and breadth of the state that he has held hostage. For 24 years as at that time, he lost. So how much more the other parts of Nigeria? Let them continue fooling themselves. He has snatched it, grabbed it, but he can't run with it. And that's why we are all in the mess that we are in today. So yeah, if he had won, if Nigerians had been foolish enough to have voted for him, I would have left. It wouldn't be because of him. It would be out of protest that I could be stuck with such evil people who would have found the grace to vote for somebody like him. But as I have said, they did not vote for him. They rejected him. He has forced himself on us. And we can't do much about that. But I'm not going to legitimize his stealing by leaving. He didn't win.
Wow. All right. Speaking of leaving, I remember that you were one of the very few people to whom I shared my plans to move my family out of the country about 2017-ish, 2017-18. And you were unreservedly against it. You didn't think I should. I can never forget. You didn't think I should. You thought I should have remained. And then I left. And then I would call you every now and again. And you would always say, this was almost always your first thing on the phone when we spoke about Nigeria. Well, so because we joke a lot, I never know whether you're serious as to whether you've changed your stance or whether you're teasing. So which is it right now? If I was still there and I came to you today and I said, I'm leaving now, or at least I'm taking my family, I'll be back after a while, what would you have said today?
See, Teju, the apple tree will not grow in Lagos because it was never intended for the soils of Lagos. But plant coconut, it will thrive. I was born to live here, and so are you. But people go where they will survive, and that was what you did. But if you had come to me today to say to me, I will probably not have said to you what I said at that time. Not because I will still believe that you were better off abroad. No, I still believe you are better off in Nigeria. But as you have heard me say, the first person who used that word escape was Seun Anikulapo. He said, "Oh, people are not migrating, they are escaping." The reality is that the Nigerian abroad is escaping, is not migrating. That you decided to leave at the time you did is a reflection of the wisdom you found in understanding the environment in which you have found yourself. It is not that anything is intricately wrong with seeking greener pastures in other climes. But I am telling you that in all of my travels, and I've been to a few countries around the world, and I have never come across a single Nigerian who has told me that they are happy to be outside of Nigeria, but they have left because Nigeria has constrained them and rendered it very difficult for them to actualize themselves or to fulfill their potential. So it is the constraints of Nigeria that has led a lot of people to leave Nigeria. So the wisdom of your decision is unquestionable. But I am not sure that a day passes without you looking back at Nigeria. I'm not sure you can ever be happy if you had to cut yourself off completely from the mad country that you left behind. But when you speak with me and I tell you, the wise ones have left, it is the truth. The objective reality is that there is nothing about Nigeria to suggest that those of us who have stayed behind are sane. You actually have to be insane to have a choice about leaving Nigeria and then elect not to go. You actually have to be functionally insane to remain in Nigeria. In fact, it is my thesis and argument that if you truly want to know the insane Nigerian, look to the ones who have a choice as to where they will live and who can afford to live abroad but elect to stay behind in Nigeria. Anyone you know who can afford to live abroad and has refused to go and has stayed behind is a madman. The person has to be insane. Yes, now, the person has to be insane. How can you exercise a choice to remain in a place that is as functionally crazy as our country has become? Everything that should not happen, every abnormality has been normalized in our space. Everything that shouldn't happen is happening in this place. Everything. And yet, we all carry on as if it is completely normal.